Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts, and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of Perfect Days, which is a film directed by Wim Wenders, and to me, this is honestly one of the most intimate films that I have ever seen in my life, as it was just so well acted and directed. And not just that, but this is a movie that I totally recommend that you should go check out once in your life, as it is going to be an experience that you will never forget. And I am just going to let you know that there will be a lot of spoilers in this review. I am going to break down the plot of this film. So Hirayama feels content with his life working as a toilet cleaner. But outside of his structured routine, he cherishes music on cassette tapes, reads music, and takes photos. But through unexpected encounters, he reflects on finding beauty in the world. If there was one thing that I really liked about this film, is the way in how it does such a great job at telling a story that is deeply compelling. And while it may look simple at times, this is a very well written and complex movie that will stay with you long after it's over. And to me, one of the most interesting things about this film is the fact that it is so much more than just a psychological drama, but a powerful and quiet study on the human condition and the subtle appreciation of life as a whole. And not just that, but I thought some of the acting performances were really well done, especially from Koji Yakusho as Hirayama. And to me, this is honestly one of his best performances, as he does such a great job at portraying his character as someone who is deeply compelling, but just so well written, all at the same time. And when we first see his character in the opening scene of the film, it immediately starts off with him waking up and deciding to do his morning routine in his apartment. And you can even see him do things like sorting out his bed sheets and making sure that he is ready for work. But as the scene goes on, it quickly transitions into a shot of him getting himself a drink and driving all around Tokyo to work. And this is where you start to realize that this is a man who feels deeply at peace with the life that he lives. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect introduction into who he really is as a person. And not just that, but it perfectly sets up everything for the film that you are about to see. And I am not going to lie to you right now. Out of all of the films that I have seen in my life, no movie has affected me more than this film right here, as it does such a great job at showing how we can appreciate our lives for the better. And you can really see that through Hirayama's character arc in this film. One of the most interesting things about Hirayama as a character is the way in how he tries to appreciate the subtle beauty of his own existence. But despite his inability to cope with his own personal struggles, you can really see that he is trying to do everything that he can in order to become a better person by doing things like listening to music or looking at the trees in the park. And to me, It is honestly one of the main reasons on why he started this journey in the first place. To find a sense of meaning and purpose into his own life. And not just that, but it is a perfect example of the fact that he is honestly one of the most well written and deeply complex characters that I have ever seen in a film like this. And you can really see that from Koji Yakusho's powerful performance in this film. And I am actually going to be honest right now. He deserves a lot of praise for his performance in this film. Because it was just that fucking good. And if there was one thing that I really liked about his performance, is the way in how he brought so much depth and humanity into his character. And to me, it's a perfect example of the fact that he is honestly one of the greatest actors working today, as he does such a great job at playing characters who are deeply complex. And you can really see that through his powerful but subtle performance as Hirayama. And I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other roles like Babel, directed by Alejandro G. Inarritu, and Cure, directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, as they're just some of those movies that we just don't get anymore, as they're just so well written and directed. And overall, Hirayama is such a well written character, and Koji Yakusho honestly makes this film better than it already is. And the fact that he won the award for Best Actor at the Cannes Film Festival is a perfect example on why this is honestly one of the greatest performances in the history of cinema. As this is a pretty realistic depiction of a man who has a subtle appreciation for his own life, as he rejects modernity and focuses more on himself, which is something we need more than ever. I thought the actress who played Hirayama's daughter did a pretty good job in the role, even if she wasn't in the film that much. And if there was one thing that I really liked about her performance, is the way in how she brought so much depth into the role, as it really made her so much more than just a generic side character, but someone who you can actually care about. And not just that, but I thought the relationship between her and Hirayama was just so well done, as it is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so fucking good. And overall, this is honestly one of her best performances, as it really proves that she can do such an amazing job at playing characters who are deeply complex. And it wasn't just her and Koji Yakusho that gave great performances, but I thought the supporting cast did a pretty good job playing their characters, even if they weren't in the film that much. And I am not going to lie to you right now. This is honestly some of the best acting that you will ever get from a foreign film like this, as it's a perfect example of the fact that Perfect Days is honestly one of the greatest movies that has ever come out in the 21st century. I thought Wim Wenders' direction of the film was just so well done, as it's a perfect example of the fact that he is honestly one of the greatest directors working today. And you can really see that from how he does such an amazing job at telling a deeply compelling but powerful story about a man who tries to do everything that he can in order to appreciate the beauty of his life. And I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other films like Paris, Texas, and Wings of Desire, as they are two of the greatest films that has ever been made. And not just that, but it makes me realize that we need more movies just like this, especially when we are living in an age of where every film that comes out nowadays is nothing more but generic and soulless slop that nobody fucking asked for. And you know what's the biggest problem affecting Hollywood nowadays? Is the fact that they are hiring writers who care more about pushing their own woke bullshit above telling a good story. And do you want to know why we go to films in the first place? Is to just be entertained. That's it. And if you really think about it for a bit, every film that is coming out nowadays is nothing more but a box office bomb. And while there were some good films that came out, it still doesn't excuse the fact that cinema is fucking dead. And you know what? Hollywood did this to themselves, and they fucking deserve it. And I actually will admit, Wim Wenders deserves a lot more praise for his direction of the film, as it's just a perfect example of the fact that he can do such an amazing job at telling stories that are deeply compelling and personal. The cinematography is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so good. And if there was one thing that I really liked about it, is how it gives the film a very meditative but intimate feel to every scene that takes place. And not just that, but it does such a great job at reflecting the film's themes on finding peace and enjoying the beauty of our own existence. And you can really see that from how the film is shot, as it was just so well done. And I am not gonna lie to you right now, it really makes this film look like an intimate epic, which it is, by the way. And overall, this is honestly some of the most powerful cinematography that I have ever seen in a modern film like this, as it fits perfectly with the film's themes and its story. I thought the dream sequences in this movie was just so well done. And if there was one thing that I really liked about it, is the way in how it perfectly reflects Hirayama's mental state and sense of reality throughout the film, as they are both surreal but meditative all at the same time. And not just that, but it is honestly one of the main reasons on why Perfect Days is just an absolute masterpiece of cinema. I thought the scene on where Hirayama has an emotional breakdown on the outside of his apartment is honestly one of the most powerful scenes that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it was just so well acted and directed. So, after finally getting a chance to spend time with Aya, the scene immediately starts off with him and his daughter riding all the way back to his apartment until they are confronted by her mother. And while he tries to do everything that he can in order to make sure that she doesn't take her away, he knows that it is already too late. And then the scene ends with a shot of him crying on the outside of his apartment. And I just want to say that the acting from Koji Yakusho is honestly some of the best acting that I have ever seen in a film like this, as you can really feel his pain and guilt after what happened. And not just that, but this is a pretty realistic depiction of a man who is desperate in wanting to come to terms with himself and his own reality. And it's a perfect example of the fact that this film is just an absolute masterpiece of cinema. And if you want a film with a compelling story and well written storylines, then this is the film for you, as it does such an amazing job at showing how we can appreciate our lives. And not just that, but it makes me realize that we just don't get movies like this anymore. And it is definitely a reason on why this film is worth your fucking time. Because you are not gonna get films like this ever again. One of the most interesting things about this film is the way in how it tells us to always live in the moment and appreciate the beauty of life. And not just that, but it makes me realize that we just don't get movies like this anymore. And while the pacing is slow, this is honestly some of the best writing and stories that you will ever get in a film like this. This is the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes, so 96% from the critics and 93% from the audience. And I am going to read out the reviews right now. So for the first review, Koji Yakusho gives the performance of a lifetime that earned him the Cannes Film Award for Best Actor. For the second one, while Perfect Days isn't driven by its plot, that does not mean there is a downstretch or a wasted movie. It is a movie about the importance of little moments, and the movie that is such full of little moments, every one of which is a reward. For the third one, the beauty of Perfect Days is its confident decision to breathe throughout the highs and lows of life. For the fourth one, Wim Wenders' Oscar-nominated film takes us to a unique and rarely seen part of Tokyo. For the fifth review, Perfect Days asks us to always look for the beauty that's not even hidden. And that is something I most definitely agree with, and as I read these reviews, it's nice seeing a film like this getting the praise that it deserves. And I actually will admit that this is one of the only films that I have seen of where the reviews from the critics actually felt deserved. And it really goes to show you that this film is most definitely worth your time, as it's most definitely a lot better than the woke dog shit that we get from modern Hollywood, especially nowadays. And one thing I forgot to say is that the scene on where Hirayama tells his daughter something on the bridge is honestly one of the film's best scenes, as it fits perfectly with Hirayama's philosophy on life, and it actually kind of relates to us in a way. This film teaches us how we can appreciate our lives, and in an age of social media and emptiness in society, we need more movies just like this. And it's just that fucking good, because this is a positive film with great performances, great story, great direction, great writing, great cinematography. Everything just fucking works. Imagine that in a movie that is made nowadays. You're not gonna get this shit ever again. So go watch it while you still can. I thought the soundtrack in this movie was just so well done, as it fits perfectly with the film's meditative tone and its story. And I'm gonna show you an example of it right now. And honestly, the fact that this film came out in 2023 is a massive fucking highlight, because that was not a good year for cinema, in my opinion. Even though there were some hits like Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer by Christopher Nolan. But still, it was just full of box office bombs and flops. What more do you want me to fucking say? Alright, let's fucking go.
Sometimes I feel so happy. Sometimes I feel so sad. Sometimes I feel so happy. But mostly you just make me mad. Baby, you just make me mad. Linger on. Your pale blue eyes. Linger on.
This is such a simple movie, but with such a powerful story. Koji Yakusho deserved that award.
Thought of you as my peak. Thought of you as everything I've had but couldn't keep. I've had but couldn't keep. Linger on.
This is such a quiet but moving movie.
Your pale blue eyes. Linger on. Your pale blue eyes.
Like, This is a slice of life drama,
I could make
and it's honestly one of the best ones that has ever been made.
and change what I see. I put you in the mirror. I put in front of me. I put in front of me. Linger on. Your pale blue eyes. Linger on.
This is a beautiful fucking film. Seriously.
Skip ahead completely. Stuff it in a cup. She said money is like us in time. It lies but can't stand up. Down for you is up. Linger on. Your pale blue eyes. Linger on. Your pale blue eyes. It was good what we did yesterday, and I'd do it once again. The fact that you are married only proves you're my best friend. But it's truly, truly a sin. Linger on. Your pale blue
The song was really well used in this movie. Not gonna lie.
linger on. Your pale blue eyes.
Like, Wim Wenders made a masterpiece that will stay with you long after it's over. I'm going to explain the ending of this film. So, after showing a man ways on how he can finally appreciate his life, we see a shot of Hirayama going back into his apartment. But as the scene goes on, he immediately decides to drive into the distance while looking at the sunset. And I just want to say that the acting from Koji Yakusho in the scene was just so well done, as you can really feel that he is finally letting go from his past and he's finally appreciating himself more as a person. And you can see that through his happy emotion. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect ending to a film like this, as it really goes to show you that Hirayama has finally decided to let go from the past and enjoy his life to the fullest. And it's honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so fucking good, as it does such a great job at telling a story that is honestly one of the most emotionally powerful and compelling stories that you will ever get from a film like this. And I'm not gonna lie, this film is definitely up there with Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon as being one of the best movies that has ever come out in 2023. I'm gonna show you the trailers of this film, starting with the first one. Now, for a modern film, this was actually pretty good. Because it was just so fucking well written. Just him doing his morning routine, doing it day by day, but he loves it.
Just a perfect day. Drink sangria in the park. And then later, when it gets dark, we go home. ニコ、いつも家出すんの? Oh, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you. Oh, such a perfect day. You just keep me hanging on. 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 今度は今度。今は今。今は今。
Why is that so fucking true? Now for the second one.
Just a perfect day. Drink sangria in the park. And then later, when it gets dark, we go home. Just a perfect day. Feed animals. ずっと行ったら海行く？今度ね。今度っていつ？今度は今度。今は今。Oh, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you. 兄さん、久しぶり。You just keep me hanging on. 愛想よろしくお願いします。小野さん、ありがとう。
In conclusion, this was an amazing film, as it does such a great job at portraying a man who feels deeply at peace with his life. And not just that, but it makes me realize that we just don't get original movies like this anymore. Especially when we are living in a time of where every film that is coming out nowadays is either a sequel, prequel, remake, or spin-off to something that has already came out before. And if there is anything else that I want to say is, go watch this film, as it's just an absolute masterpiece when it comes to the acting, directing, writing, themes, symbolism, and cinematography. And not just that, but you could really tell that this was made by a filmmaker who actually gave a shit about the story that he wanted to tell. And he did it perfectly. And I am just going to let you know that the next films that I'm going to be reviewing is Prisoners, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and Demolition, directed by Jean-Marc Vallée. So, go get ready for those. And also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now. And always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness. And just remember, keep supporting films like this, because we need them more than ever before. So yeah, see you in the next one.